Good evening. All right, it's 5:15 on July 27th. This Carroll City Council meeting will come to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let the roll call show all members are present except Councilman Tate. And first up is the consent agenda, which includes the approval of minutes of the July 13th meeting, approval of bills and claims, the renewal of a Class B native wine permit for Designs by Bernie, the appointment of Chief Brad Burke to the Carroll City County Communications Commission alternate and Carroll County Joint E911 Service Board. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
There is a motion and a second. Haley?
Yes.
Fleshner?
Yes.
Jensen?
Yes.
Cobb?
Yes.
Seaman?
Yes.
Motion is approved.
Thank you. Do we have any oral requests or communications from the audience tonight on matters that are not already on the agenda? We do. All right, welcome.
Very quick, though.
Come forward.
Thanks for having me. I just want to give you guys a quick update on where we're at with RDG. I had asked Carolyn Seaman to continue her service to our committee to oversee the project called the Technical Committee and the correspondence they've shared so far. And Clay Haley also, I had reached out to him. The Technical Committee will consist of 2 city, 2 county, and 2 CADC representatives throughout the process. Expected to meet 4 times unless there's something that comes up along the way. But just wanted to let you guys know that we will be meeting then on August 6th. We'll already be getting started. So I have a copy of kind of an outline that Amy and I went over briefly last week to kind of lay out our schedule, including what meetings will be taking place, what will be expected within those meetings, and survey work and all those other pieces that are going to be a part of this process. So it's pretty informative. So as had been discussed last time I was here, wanted to get you started with this week, but then you can expect at least every other week to have a narrative report from me with an update on the process. So,
excellent.
And if at any time throughout you guys are interested in having me come and do a better presentation orally here, happy to do so. So I'll just start these with Laura. I think we've got a copy for everyone here. And like I said, if you have any questions at any point, you know where to find me. So
Okay.
That's all I've got. Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much, Shannon. All right, then we are on to ordinances and the sanitary sewer service charges. And Randy.
Okay, during consideration of the current budget, there was some discussion, presentation on the need for a sanitary sewer service charge increase. Actually, 2 increases, one during the current fiscal year and one projected for next fiscal year. The number that was discussed at the time and recommended was about 6.5%. The increases are to fund some future capital improvements as well as, capital equipment purchases, as well as set the fund up for future capital improvement funding and then also maintain acceptable fund balances. I've attached or included a proposed ordinance that increases rates on September 1st of 2015 and July 1st of 2016. Approximate increases are 6.5%. Actually, they vary a little bit. There is a table attached that indicates the impact to low, average, and large users. And that ranges from 6.41% to 6.57%. So we're right in that 6.5% range. Unless there are any questions, I'd recommend a progression toward adoption of the resolution increasing the sewer service rates.
Okay. We've all had a lot of introduction, I guess, to this coming increase. I think although at the same time it has been a while since we talked about it, so with that, I think tonight, unless there's any other questions for Randy at this time.
Just one. You mentioned an acceptable fund balance.
What do we try to keep that at this time?
Well, we've tried to keep it at a minimum of 25% of the revenue. These rate increases would cover that pretty well.
Okay.
How many of these are left? I think, weren't we going to do a series of 5? Like,
Actually, that's about what it turned out to be the last 5 years. Based on the projections and our anticipated costs for capital requirements, these 2 would be the last 2.
last 2 then. Okay.
Then I'd look for a motion to introduce and waive the first reading this evening.
So moved.
Second.
There is a motion and a second to introduce and waive the first reading. Haley?
Yes.
Seaman?
Yes.
Jensen?
Yes.
Cox?
Yes.
Fleshner?
Yes.
Motion is approved.
Thank you. We did get information that the amended credit card policy was pulled from the agenda, so that we are jumping down from ordinances, past resolutions, and down to reports this evening. So first up is the Carroll Recreation Center Master Plan. And tonight we're welcoming Ron Scheckman with FEH Associates to town. And we had an opportunity to meet with our Parks and Recs Board earlier. And I'm going to turn this over to Jack.
Thank you, Mayor. What I attached in this memorandum was the 2007 master plan, the original drawing, the 2008 cost estimate, and then the 2016 cost estimate with possibly some new ideas into the plan, which Ron had brought with him from Sioux City to bring this up. So we have those things. My feeling was I just really wanted to bring in the 2008 numbers so you can see where we were at and where we're at today for cost, how vital it is. If we're going to make some improvements to the rec center that was built in 1977, and so far we just have done minor renovations and nothing really to the structure. It's probably time to move forward and see what interests the council has and the community has to do some renovations to the current rec center. So I guess with that, you have the 2007 plan, which we've followed going into the new plan with a few modifications, but a lot of it is the same. Ron put a memorandum together for you that shows current costs today, where we're at. He did a real good job of breaking it down so you can see what plans we had in 2007 and those costs for 2015 now, 2016, and then some additional things we've been thinking about additionally into the facility. The southeast corner, that addition, I was down in Sioux City probably at least 2 years ago talking to them, and that was on an original draft that they had that never came to the council. I kind of like that idea, but there's a lot to it already. So whether that southeast corner stays onto the plan or not will be a decision for a later meeting. First of all, are there questions? Ron's more welcome to go into it. If you want me to stand up and review where we're at with everything, I would be happy to do that. Probably should, just to make sure everyone understands. The light tan is existing. Red is renovated with the existing building, not changing much within the wall structure. And then the darker brown is new construction. And we're going to have Ron here to talk a little bit about where we're at with the current exercise room. Council, we've approved to take out one racquetball court and then put the mezzanine across across this side. Right now the mezzanine's right here, come across here, and then shoot it back to the exercise room, so you actually have 2 levels, racquetball courts towards 800 square feet. So right there, you get close to 1,600 square feet additional exercise room, and then whatever this mezzanine part is. It's being set up, so there's a possibility of doing 24-hour fitness. Not saying that we are going to do that, but that will be a possibility if you have interest in that. And add on the 2 storage rooms as it's necessary. We've outgrown our facility with other users and a lot of equipment that they have that are use our facility all the time. So we really want to see that. So we'll get into that in some of the findings that FEH, working with another firm, came up with, and show that we're going to have to increase, we want to continue, increase the weight room expansion program. Again, this was all, right now we had an arts and crafts room originally. The arts room was used a lot for a daycare facility. Once the schools and more home daycares became available for preschool programs, that was eliminated, so we didn't really have a lot of users in there. Rec center director back then came up with the idea of a fitness room, so we converted it at a cost about $15,000, and then we added equipment. So that's what we have now. We'd like to see this exercise room larger. It would take away room for our after-school program, but we probably put in a wall that you could pull back and forth, so you had more options. Keep the current kitchen. We put in a kitchen and those items in there. A lot with a grant program we had with Sears, or JCPenney's. They did fundraisers and we bought stoves and microwaves, refrigerators with that money. And then this is, like we just talked about in the Parks Rec Board meeting, this is one area staff is really interested in, reconverting the seniors room and the existing office into a larger office area. This would be the control point. Everyone would come through the rec center, come right in and be greeted. Most of your businesses, most places you work at, that's what you have. Right now, you basically get into the center of the building before you're greeted. So as a staff, that would be a priority. And then this portion, which we can get into, is all new renovation, new construction. And then down here is Aquatic Center. We're not discussing really any aquatics ideas at this point, other than we know we're missing out on 0 to 5-year-old, 0 to 8-year-old activities in the pool area. This is a nice competitive pool. It's a nice area for water walking, lap swimming. But if you have younger kids, there's a small area for them there. Otherwise, if they really can't swim well, parents are right there holding them and doing stuff. It'd be nice to have some type of slides, zero depth entry like we have at the outdoor pool, to accommodate the younger kids. With that, we always hear, I hear questions a lot. We'd like to have more access to the sauna and the whirlpool. Those 2 facilities are only open when open swim is happening, which we do have limited hours for the lap swimming. People would like to see more access to that, possibly a steam room, those items, in lieu or in addition to the sauna room. They're 2 different areas. They kind of do different things. That one prefer a sauna and other steam rooms. So we won't get into a lot of that. We can answer questions, but that's more working with Water's Edge or Aquatic firm. FEH would still be involved with some of that if we did that. So going over Ron's addition to the memo I had, right down page 1, renovation remodel of his administrative area, $620,000. That is this area. Again, control area.
That includes the control area plus the other portion in red that's right above it?
Yes. I'm sorry, yes.
Okay.
That area right through there, $620,000 for that. The atrium, activities room, gym, associated areas, that would be all this. If we do this, we're dislocating the congregate meals and the seniors room. Be nice to bring something back for them, so that's what we would probably do with this area. And then the multi-purpose room, that was on part of the original plan. I remember that was like 900,000 last time. We're now seeing an increase to 1.4 million. So that gets you 11.65 or $11.67 million project, and then with fees, $12,609,000. And when I've had conversations with Ron, I mentioned, what if we didn't do the second level of the walking track on this area? We just had one level, you get away from stairs, get away from an elevator. What would that be? And they've estimated this at $2.45 million. That's a rough estimate. You know, like he had mentioned at the Parks and Rec Board meeting, you know, there's a lot that goes into, you know, if you want a better cost, we need more design and more engineering to figure out a better cost. And then second page, additional items, the exercise corridor, toilets area, that would be this area down here. See that for a lot of personal training, different things going on in that room. That would be 1.5 million, engineering of about 120,000. Upgrade to electrical service, fire alarm, and control systems at 500,000. And Ron can get into that more, talking about that, but that would be the whole facility. If you just do portions, you know, if you think you're going to do everything, then you should do that at a rough cost of 500,000. But if you know, hey, I'm not going to do this portion, that number would go down. Did I say that right?
Yeah, pretty much the remodeled area. If you did that, more than likely we wouldn't have to pull in a new electrical service. But I think anytime we would add any one of those larger phases, I think it's going to require a new electrical service. And if the plan is to not to do, say you're going to be in a multi-purpose phase and would require a new service, then you would size it so that you could do the other phases as well, and not think that, oh, I will put in the larger service, I'll just put in the service that I need for the multi-purpose, and then take it out and add a larger one to pick up these other phases. So you understand what I'm trying to say. You would probably be best to bite the bullet, go the full $500,000 or whatever the number might be, if you're pretty close to that anyway. And then it would be sized to add all your subsequent phases.
You pretty much maxed out on capacity at the current spot then
Yes,
for service?
I think so.
That's the swim team when they're down there with their roasters and
Yep.
their
Clicking off all the
yeah,
time.
so, yeah, we pretty much maxed out. We, a couple things, and Ron had no idea on some of the fire alarm, some of the control systems, we've done some of that already. We have in the budget, current budget, to upgrade the fire alarm system, the back room, the control panel, and some of the, and I think it's adding more to the fire alarm system. That's in the current budget right now. I believe we have 50,000 to do that portion. So some of that's being done. And then down below, you know, those are just ideas to move forward. 2016, you know, you do this portion of that. 2017, so, you know, there's ways of phasing, but you got to remember when you do that, there's mobilization costs each time, and some of those things where if you mobilize one time,
Polarization and just inflation. Every year construction costs go up. So we've factored in 10% per year for those types of things. So if like I said, the point is if you phase it, you know, it's going to cost you more money than if you did it one shot.
The aquatics discussion will be had in a couple more weeks. They'll have Water's Edge, who does more of the aquatics. We can mix that discussion with what information we need with FEH, and then kind of be able to give us a better number on what the aquatics is. So fortunately tonight we do not have that information, but it'll be here to us here soon. Something else I know what we talked about in the past has been the boys and girls locker rooms and renovating the interior of those. We're also going to try to make sure we got numbers on that here fairly soon as well, just as one more piece to this whole list of potential things. Both, you know, of course, taking care of the existing facility, but then also looking at how we can attract membership and add members and value.
I know I've seen a few emails. The walking track, a walking track in the current gym will not work, correct?
Right.
I just want to, okay.
Yep.
Hey Jack, you talked about control on the
Mhm.
west side there. So would there not be entrance from the east then, or that, what would you do with that side with people from there?
The idea would be most days, over 300 days, 320 days, it's fine to just have the parking here. You're forcing people to park on one side. Granted, football games, dance recitals, those special events, yeah, it could be, if we did that, parking over here by the baseball stadium is not ideal. Those types of situations, we try to figure out what would be best to, still maintain our control, but maybe make it a little bit easier for the member. So maybe those nights, we do unlock the doors and have someone watching that more.
So
Would be
you
a
want to make that
possibility.
staff parking on that side? too,
Yeah,
staff
we would,
entrance?
this is strictly be staff parking. We can make sure everyone does that. There would be some parking over here for the entrance in here if we did go 24 hours. Lit up nice. So, of course, the sidewalk for ADA purposes.
Jack, is this addressing everything in the current building, before we think about adding on, everything that would be obsolete or close to obsolete or needs to be upgraded? You talked about HVAC wiring and all of those things. So we're taking care of the core building,
Yes.
and so everything will be ADA compliant, everything will be upgraded, so we aren't dealing with obsolete equipment, wiring, that kind of thing. So that is all addressed, is that correct?
These numbers that you see here are not renovating existing HVAC equipment.
That is the additional
That's
budget item.
just for the additions.
The
Oh,
500,000
so it is not dealing with the current core building.
No, it's not.
Is there any,
I would think that would be a high priority in order to keep the building in shape and in compliance.
Well, what's our
So,
CIP say on that, as far as
yeah.
when was equipment replaced? We've replaced some of the HVAC and some of the equipment in the last 44 years.
Yeah, we've redone the controls, so we have much better control. We don't have, air conditioning where we have to go do something to change, go to the thermometer and change it to shut off. We can do that right from our desk now. The past weekend, we just had the play, so, if it was too cold, we could do stuff like that. So the controlling, and we've seen a savings of about $8,000-10,000 each year.
So we are not
Deficient.
having problems with ADA compliance. We don't have anything that is in jeopardy of becoming obsolete or an emergency fix or anything like that, that we're neglecting to consider when we look at the scope of this project.
I don't believe so.
We're good?
Well,
That's what I want
haven't-
to know.
I haven't analyzed the entire building as it sits today. My guess is that most things are probably ADA compliant. There might be some
Well, I think we
exceptions.
need to have a concrete
But, and I
knowledge.
have not, or my engineering staff has not done an analysis of your current HVAC
Okay.
system. I don't know how old that equipment is.
I don't know.
You talked about controls, but I don't know when the last time the equipment was replaced in the building, if at all.
Yeah, I don't think it was
There's
that.
large air handling units up in that second level.
Yeah, a
I
lot of
don't
that
know.
is existing.
We found out that there's a new, or at some point, a split AC system was put in to air condition that existing weight room.
Yep.
And then at that point in time, the ventilation air that served both the weight room and the gym was disconnected.
Okay.
And the split system was put in there to air condition that unit, but it didn't provide any, or that
Okay.
space, but it didn't provide any ventilation air.
So,
So when we, as we went, this is kind of going back to what,
no,
at the
that's,
point
no,
we're
I,
going to here soon.
no, this is
Um,
good.
The original concept or the original idea was that we were going to modify, extend existing HVA ductwork the assumption was that everything seems to be working fine. That's what we'll do. Upon further review, and I've got, you know, my mechanical engineer down there to actually look at it, at the existing system, that's when we found out there had been a change made.
Okay.
There was no documentation of it, but it had been changed. And what we found is it wasn't adequate to service the new renovation,
Sure.
which is the red part in the middle there.
Okay.
And
The
Nor did
weight-
it
the new
provide any
weight-
ventilation
yeah.
air to that space, which by code you have to have a certain amount of outside ventilation air into the space. Plus it just makes it much more comfortable for the user.
Sure.
So that and finding electrical panels and stuff like that to service the new equipment, which is what the proposal is, to provide a new rooftop unit, will provide the ventilation air, will provide the air conditioning, because that space and the way it's used, because people are exercising, and the occupant load, much of the year is going to require air conditioning
Right,
to keep
but,
it cool.
yeah,
So a new rooftop unit has been designed to be installed on the roof to do that.
that's for the new weight room.
Right.
But you're attaching that to what is already there. I'm just wondering, you're the expert, would it make sense to evaluate the current mechanical, you know, what we have currently before you go adding on to something that might be in jeopardy of becoming obsolete? Or not? I just,
It's a good point, and that's probably a good idea. to
would
do
it
that.
take long to do that?
Um,
Or not?
No,
Okay,
I don't think it would.
okay.
I wouldn't do it, I would have my
You would
engineers
hire,
do it.
okay.
This other
sure.
firm that Jack mentioned is our consulting firm that does mechanical, electrical, plumbing.
Yeah,
But they would be capable of doing that.
sure. What do you think, Jack? Does it make sense to look at what we currently have to see
We've
if we
gone
need to
through-
do anything different?
We could do that. I don't know if we need to stop the current project that we're in to, you know, but as far as the other renovations and doing that, yeah, that would make sense. I think we know that we want to move forward. Well, you know, that's the question. Move forward, knowing that's going to be about a $500,000 project. Right now we have 380, Laura, 380. We do have another set of money for just equipment alone. I think that was 60,000. I didn't get a chance to look it up before today. But I think we still move forward. Hopefully we
Sure.
still move forward, get this project done because we know the need for that. And then we have Ron probably look at everything as far as.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Are the locker rooms ADA compliant? I mean,
Yes.
they are.
Yeah, they are ADA.
Okay.
We had to when we put new dividers in for
Okay,
this toilets and that. We put in new ones and we made sure those were ADA. So,
okay. And you will be bringing forth costs on, you said when you talk about the pool area, Adam mentioned that, and then you'll be bringing forth costs, the pool area as well as the renovation of the locker rooms, is that correct?
we can work with Ron on the, but I guess the big question is, well, what do we want with the lockers? What, other than, I think, well, there's two things. Air conditioning, it'd be nice to air condition the locker rooms. When you come from the weight room, you've been sweating. But when you come from the pool, Laverne's a big user of the pool, and he's wet, and he's gonna get hit with cold air. That's not that feeling. So you need a mix, because you have two different people, temperature-wise. So I think, you know, probably there is a medium point to get to. So we probably get some air in there.
I guess
But what-
I was talking about the locker room is old, they're old.
yeah.
It just needs to be renovated.
Okay. As far as,
People have been complaining about those for years, and we've talked about this before.
Yeah.
And I think for multiple reasons, those locker rooms need to be updated.
yeah. Okay.
So we're thinking like tile, new
I mean,
lockers
people tell
or
me even though they're
benches?
clean, the stalls, and I walked through there, I went
Yeah.
with you several times and we've discussed this, and people are saying even though they know they're cleaned, they're just run down, you know, and when people come from out of town, they say it really doesn't do the rec center justice that they need.
It looks 44 years old.
Yeah, and it just looks dirty even though it's clean.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you
just-
know, we have the
yeah.
split lock look, you know, is there a way to
I mean,
put something over that? You know, floor, I think you can do like an epoxy floor that's more current, that would look nice.
Yeah.
So you tear up the tile, you
I'm
redo
sure
that.
they could come up with
Yeah,
some
sure.
nice ideas,
fresh,
yeah.
some-
But I think we do need to take care of what we have
Right.
and not let that fall apart as we're thinking about expansions.
So when we speak about lockers, what are we talking about? Having these folks design something for us to change the lockers?
To update them, I mean, if they were mine, I would just gut the whole thing and put in new tile, it needs to be, they need to be new.
Okay.
I mean, they're the right size, I would say, but they just look used, old, grungy.
I think the children's side's probably a little bit bigger than what they need, be more. I still like that. You know, maybe there would be a completely different, because you have the children's and the adult, they walk down, and they both go in,
Oh,
same area,
okay.
maybe there's a way to divide that up so they're completely separate. But,
Okay,
you
thank
know,
you.
those are things, you know, Adam has been asking, you know, for me to get FEH here and to get the Parks and Rec Board, their priorities, and Laverne's here to, you know, he could talk about what they discussed with that. But at least this will give you an idea of when you go to your plan in August, what things do you want to do. And if
Yeah.
bathrooms, next year you want to do bathrooms, and this part, so, you know, so
Okay, no, thank you for your input, I appreciate it.
Any other questions? I just want to make sure we mention, again, this room, what Ron had talked about, a rooftop unit, because you walk in there, we have 4 fans that go continuously, and it's still stuffy, sweaty in there. This will eliminate that problem, but it's going to be closer to a $500,000 project. So we have 380, there'll need to be a funding source, increase that. And luckily, you know, Ron called me and said, Jack, we got a problem, you know, and we went through it, and I said I wanted to be up front, and I'm glad they located this before I went to bid, and had a construction company say, have this, so.
Okay,
Okay.
I'll make sure that I'm clear here. The lockers, everybody is saying we want to have someone propose a fee to design to modernize them.
To update, maybe new tile or new epoxies, I don't, just, they
Sinks,
need,
toilets,
they're old. It's
individual
just
showers
old and-
possibly.
From
Like a
function-
remodel, you know?
From functional
Yeah.
purpose, they are okay, from
Yes.
functional.
Yes, but new
So we're
floor,
saying we want to
new
move beyond
s-
functional.
You're already spending
No.
$500,000 to do this other project. You know, you're talking about the lockers. How much did we lose in the rec center last year, Jack? Everything together, not putting
I don't have that.
all the other things, 'cause
It varies. You know, I think one of our best years is 130 all the way to 280 loss.
I mean, last year.
I don't have
This
that.
last
Probably. I'm sorry. Usually,
I'd say one of the things that you guys talk about, like modernization or renovation of the existing locker rooms, like, do they still normally have the shower pedestal type setup in most places?
I think most people are moving toward individual showers.
Shower
rather than
stalls.
mixing Showers.
I don't know. That's the other thing that, I mean, on the guy's side, I don't think that's a problem. Do they have that on the girl's side? I don't know.
women's is all individual showers on the one wall, and then for the girls and women are separate. But the guys have 2 pedestals of 6, 4 or 6.
6 on each one.
6 on each one.
Okay.
Okay. So we'll
Well,
come up
like
with some new
floor
ideas.
tile, like, you know, you decide to renovate your kitchen, you put in new cabinets and put in a new countertop. So with this, probably maybe some paint on the walls and maybe a new tile floor.
I don't
Paint
think
would
there's any
make a
paint in
big-
there, is there?
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying, if it's all tile, that would be
So
certainly.
let me ask this question. Everybody has a figure in their mind. Are we talking about 20,000 or 200,000?
I don't have a figure. I thought maybe we could have FEH make some suggestions to get the bathrooms updated. They're 40 years old. Most people, when they have a 40-year-old house, they have, you know, updated.
But my question is, if you're gonna spend
I don't-
$500,000 on this project that we're taking this to do the racquetball courts, is that correct, Jack?
One,
Yeah.
we're taking out one.
You're gonna spend $500,000 on that, and you're probably gonna spend, if you're gonna tile it, you're gonna spend maybe $750,000. Is that going to change this culture of, because every year, in the 8 years I've done this, we lose more.
I think we have lost people because they believe that we are not keeping pace. And people do, you know, we're going to have to look at the financials to see what we need to do with fees and so on. That's another day, but
Well,
I don't think it would hurt for FEH. I'm sorry, go ahead, Tom.
My question is around, each of these projects are all worthy projects. I'm not saying that. I'm asking the question, do we have a consultant who understands these facilities and knows how to, what would give you the turnaround and help bring membership up, or make it worthwhile that you can raise rates because all of these amenities are now there? We're talking about adding money here and adding money there, but I'm not sure we talked to a consultant who is into, like a Norm Johnson, that would come in and say, if I were doing it, this is where I'd put your money. Because Gerald's got a good point. You know, you're talking 20,000, or are you talking 200,000?
Well, we won't know until somebody gives us
I
maybe
understand that,
a
but
few
you need to also
concepts.
have somebody to come in and say, if I was doing this and you're trying to get this thing back on track.
How to get more bang for your buck type thing.
Yeah, return on investment, and I understand these are like a park, and we're not gonna make money on this, I'm not about that. But we've had a continual curve of losing more every year, and we're addressing that, I thought, by doing the renovation on the racquetball courts, because I've seen facilities do that.
I
But
think when you
I
let
would
a,
like to understand, if we're gonna spend this amount of money, what, you know, from a consultant's
Well, we
on
can-
return on investment, how is that, where's our best way to do this and spend the most money? Because this is what, $14–15 million in total in all of this. So how do we make sure we're doing and making the right steps?
I think you're talking about the overall scope, and I think your idea is valid regarding the overall scope. I would agree with you,
And
Tom.
I'm not even talking about the overall scope. What I'm talking about is how, we need to do this the right way, because to this date, all we've done is each year it's lost more.
Right.
Each year it lost more. And it's gotten to the point where, you know, are we going to allow that and that's just the way that it is, or are we going to do these amenities in there, and is that the way we turn that corner?
Right.
Yeah, we can.
Well, the bathroom thing, I mean, I can understand, I can see that from the perspective of just usual and customary maintenance, just keeping the thing updated. I mean, I don't have a problem with something along that line.
I'm not disagreeing
Yeah.
with any of them, but I'm not convinced that we've talked to someone about how to make sure we're doing the right moves for the patrons that use that, that this is how it would work.
I can
And
tell you,
this would get the return.
all of our discussion at this point has been, well, I guess the big request for tonight is just to get you price tags so you understand, get some feedback on the things that we want to know more about, whether it's renovating the restrooms, whatever. Then we've got price tags on every single project. And then from there, if we want to look into having somebody come in and help us prioritize, we certainly can. Otherwise, I can tell you that we visited with the Parks and Recs Board again this evening. One of the main focuses that everybody's zeroing in on, really honing in on, is that age group of 0 to 12 years old. And from a facilities perspective, we don't have anything for 0 to 12 years old. And it's really about attracting more membership. One of the board members made a great comment tonight. She said, if you could take the all of the kids and all of the young families and all the people that you see at the outdoor aquatic center right now in the summer, 60 days, and transplant them into the rec center the other 9 months out of the year. Just think about how many more people would be down at that facility. So, I think the aquatic center right now has been the aquatics piece of this, taking those aquatic center members and getting them into the rec center to use it, has been probably the thing that they're zeroing in on the most. I think that a consultant would probably come in and be able to tell us the exact same thing. One of the things I think that was brought up to Jack was to say, how many people are aquatic center members or using the aquatic center that maybe are not rec center members right now? We could probably glean pretty good information on what you'd expect for revenue to offset the expenses just off of some of that information. Now, while it won't be exactly right down to the number, it'd be really close. So that would work us, though, towards providing more value in the existing rec center, providing more use in the existing rec center, and hopefully encouraging more membership, which is, I think, where we want to get, because it'll make that dent in that cost of operation, but at the same time encourage people to get down and use the facility. So I guess, does that kind of give you a little bit?
Well, I want to have someone to be able to come in and, with the figures are fine, looking at all this is fine, but I want someone to come in and say, if you do this and this, this is most effective. And they need to be able to, they have to have the background that they've done this before. That's the best effective way. I'm not knocking any of the projects. I'm just saying we're not experts at what is the best approach. And I want the Parks Board to be helped in the same way, where that same person can come in and help the Parks Board in their direction they're going, and someone who's done this before, built this machine, and say, okay, this is your vision, this is what I would recommend.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying. It's not anything against any of the projects, but I think we need an expert who knows how to turn things around and has the records of doing that to give us the direction to do the right things, whether it's lockers or all of those things, and they'd be all good and work with it.
Let's just remember a couple things. The rec center has 3,400 members. We're a town of 10,000. I think you would ask any facility if they had 35% of their community that belong there, that's probably a pretty good number. We have about another 300 that are low income. We could increase our memberships by 300, about 10%, if we got them switched over to memberships. If we went out and fundraised or got scholarships or did something, we'd increase our memberships 10% right there, day one. You go to these other facilities, our cost is half of what theirs are. So if we increase our fees even 25%, you add 25% to our memberships are about 200,000 right now, 25%, there's some additional revenue. We can get a lot closer to being black by just tweaking and doing a few of those things. We've been told don't go out and fundraise. We do some of it for some of our programs. We have a small scholarship program, but we'd really increase just by tweaking a couple things to do the fundraising and to get more members. The mention about the aquatic center, go there between 1 and 4 when it's open, 1 to 5. 80% are those kids there. Then there's a few that are laying out. I'd say probably half of those kids, when they come clock in, they're using our rec center card. It's the same number. It's a different system. If they're at the aquatic center, we put aquatic center, and they have a rec center card. If they don't have a membership, it'll come up. So they're not getting in, but they use the same card because it's the same number. I think there's a lot of kids that have both memberships. You come down there, Laverne knows this, the people that use it every day, from September through March, you can't get any more kids in that current facility. We are maxed out. We're doing well. I hope to think that we're experts. We do a pretty good job of what we're doing. But if it's about dollars, we need to increase fees. if you want the biggest bang for your buck, do the aquatics. We don't have a facility right now for 0 to 8 to 9-year-olds. That would give moms and dads, if you had zero depth entry, chance to come down on weekends, come at nights after work to use our facility.
Let me make this assumption, that you want to move forward on the process where the $120,000 is being added, going from 380 to 500. Because if you want that to come about, it's not going to come about in the same time frame as we had initially thought. We'll have to look at whether we want to do it during the winter or whether we want to try and do a summer project again next year. That's the first thing. The second thing is, this is intended to be preparatory to your planning session on August 29th. And the third thing is, the lockers, the modernization, the updating, the HVAC, ADA, and et cetera. I'm not hearing that I've got any directive to do anything except to listen to what you said tonight.
I think it would help with our decision-making to have numbers, gathering information. You can't lose. I mean,
Okay.
Information is always helpful. We need to make informed decisions. And yeah, when we were talking before and Clay was here, we talked about the pool, so we had something, you know, for the younger children year-round. They talked about an addition to the southeast, something where you could practice soccer indoors, I think another basketball court. And I have the article here, I'm just kind of remembering. And then we also, the locker rooms came up at that point too. I think they're a vital part of that whole pool area. And I think gathering potential costs to do those, it needs to be updated. And I hear it too much, and I've been hearing it too long. And that needs to be a part of consideration. But having numbers will help us with our decision-making.
I'm
So
authorized
I
to...
thought the recommendations from the Parks and Rec Board that Clay presented were worth studying, gathering numbers, and giving it serious thought.
And this is the first part in that, correct?
Mhm. Yep.
And now we have aquatics coming in a couple of weeks.
Yep, we can get a couple of these other pieces lined up. Well, we'll have a pretty good idea of what we've got to work with then.
So then the additional stuff we're talking about, as Carolyn brought up, is the analysis of the current HVAC and electrical system. Is that right, Carolyn? Is that what you were asking?
Well, I just wondered, what is the status of the current systems we have? I think that's important, especially if you're going to hook up additional amenities to it. But again, I think we should be taking care of what, I've said it so much, we need to be taking care of what we have, certainly, and then considering amenities that will, you know, help us retain or garner new members. And I don't think people will mind paying more for their rec center dues if they see things happening, and those are the things that they will participate in and so on. But I know I have talked to people who have dropped their rec center memberships because one of the reasons, the locker rooms. So, I mean, we need to take good care of it just as we take care of our homes, businesses, et cetera.
If you're going to increase the usage of what you already have by building something a little more, you're going to increase the usage of what you got, basically. And if it's a little run down now, it's going to get run down a little more quickly. So just to make sure that it's...
Okay, I'm authorized to expend up to $5,000 for professional services. If it's any greater than that, we'll have to bring it back. So is there anyone that objects to me seeking an agreement with FEH not to exceed $5,000? Sorry, get my numbers mixed up here. A million here and a million there, you know. I can do that, but then with the HVAC and ADA, we've had some review of HVAC. I don't know what. We'll have to sit down and talk about what that is. ADA, I'm not sure. I think we're all pretty much convinced that we're okay, but maybe an examination, a walkthrough. We can hire someone to walk through. Or anything else that they see, that FEH sees is necessary when you start expanding a building. Earlier this afternoon, that was a very point I made, is that we need to work on what we have. to make sure that it's functioning well, and that when we add things to it, that it can continue to function well.
Exactly.
Because if we add 1 million, 2, 5, 10, 12, and then all of a sudden, things don't work anymore. And the expectation of locker rooms, my personal perspective would be, yes, that's an expectation. Not a necessity, but it is if you're trying to get into people's pocketbooks. If you're trying to get them to pay a fee, you probably have to modernize. Doesn't make any difference. They're all functional. I've been in them. They're cleaned regularly. Don't go in the ladies unless Jack is there to make sure. But I've been in all of them, and there is no reason to say they're not functional. They function. They just don't look like they're 19. Well, they don't look like they're 2015 edition. But I think that's a fairly expensive project, and we'll find out.
Well, I think something we need to consider too is if we have 35% population right now, what do we all think? You know, and I'm not asking for an answer right now, but this is something we need to consider for our planning sessions. What is that target we want to shoot to? Are we at where we expect to be? And if so, then I think we need to go into a maintenance phase and whatnot.
Our best time was about 4,000. You had private fitness facilities come in town. The single individuals, we saw an immediate drop with them. You know, are we going to recoup them back if we had 24 hours possibly? But there's just some people that like the privacy of going into a facility where it's not busy, where you come out, drink water, and maybe get hit with, get hit with a basketball or the streaming. We're a family, I think family first.
You know, and I'd love to have a fabulous facility, but I think we just all need to kind of have a goal in mind for where we want to shoot to and how we're going to get there.
So.
I'm going to go ahead and make a quick statement. I've listened an awful lot. I think we do have a very good expert in Mr. Wardell, too. I've spent a lot of time visiting with you even just today about this, and I know you're putting a lot of analysis into this and a lot of work into it, Jack, and I appreciate it. Please keep bringing forward good information like this. We've got dollars on stuff. We'll get an aquatics piece put into place. Keep plowing forward. Thanks for what you're doing.
Okay. If there's no other questions for Ron or Jack, this was strictly for our planning perspective.
We are going to move forward on that project of remodeling the fitness facility.
Yes.
Even though it's going to be a larger figure than what originally was scheduled.
How close to the plans done?
We're real close. We were real close when we found out we had some HVAC problems. So
Yeah.
I think we were talking about getting council approval on the 24th.
24th.
August.
Okay.
So the plan specs, then we'll go out to bid. Unfortunately, it's going to be over a busy time of the year, but we're hoping the contractor can, put up a divider so it's as least intrusive as possible. We'll have our members in mind when we do that.
And of course, we've talked about bids that could be as soon as 60 or 90 days or as late as January.
Yeah. And a much longer period of time to get the project done. I think we'll get more bids and more competitive bid if they have a little bit more time.
Okay.
Thank you.
We'll look forward to that information.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right. Our second report is the purchase of body-worn cameras, and Chief Burke.
The department's budgeted for this coming year to purchase body cameras for all the officers. And for planning, we've been doing a lot of research on different companies. Seems like a new one come out every day, but some of the competitive ones that we've looked at haven't quite met our needs. There's one company called Digital Ally that we currently use our in-car cameras for, and they seem to be the best fit for the use that we would use them for. Some of the reasons for that is that we currently have software for it's called ViewVault. It's our storage for the video, and these body-worn cameras would just match right up with that current system that we have, and that's going to be very secure. It's something that the officers don't have any access to delete or edit any video. It's stored on our internal server, so it's a very secure system, and the footage is stored for a set time period, so we're still working on that with our policy. But it'll be something that's used for prosecution purposes, also used for any training, protection of the department from any false claims. Could be used for performance evaluations. There's a whole laundry list of items that would be used for. Could be used to fight baseless claims of use of force or resolving any complaints that are brought on the officers by the public. So it's kind of becoming a nationwide trend, and we just want to make sure that we're staying on top of it also. But with our research, we determined that the Digital Ally is the best fit for our department and probably the most seamless transition. There's no software upgrades that's needed, no extra purchasing of software for storage. When I went and looked through it, we were able to, with our budget, we were able to quote for 12 body-worn cameras, which will provide one to all the officers and the sergeants. And that also takes into account the cost to link the system up with our in-car cameras also. There's a small fee per car to get that accomplished. So my recommendation is for the council to waive the purchase agreement. The reason for that is that there's no bid on this. The Digital Ally does not have any third-party vendors either. It's all right from their company, so there's no competition for any vendors that have any price differences, and that the system is going to work best for our department. So that's one of the things we have to look at, waive the purchase agreement, and my recommendation is to do that and to make the purchase of these body cams.
Brad, are you in the process of developing policy regarding use? If will they be a part of the public information? I know that's controversial.
We are in the process of making a policy, and it kind of depends on which one we purchase. If we go with this system, we have one that's pretty much in place. We're working with Dave Bruner on this. We're trying to get it specifically for this unit. If we decide not to purchase them, we have to go a different one. Our policy will have to change, just because this will integrate our in-car camera system policy with our body-worn camera system also. So that would be some changes. Before they go into place, we'll have a policy that's set, and that's distributed to the officers. We'll go through training with them on that. Releasing to the public, we release very little now, and all that goes through either the city or county attorney. So we make sure we consult with them before anything does get released.
Okay, and is there any pending state legislation? I know something was proposed back in February. I don't think it went anywhere.
No, it didn't make it very far, and there's nothing that I've heard for the upcoming year either.
Okay, thank you.
When you refer to training, you're talking about yourself training the officers?
It'll be all internal. Our salesman's worked with us. He's coming to a demonstration for us. He will train us also. He'll probably train 1 or 2 officers, and we'll turn on and do internal training with all the rest of the officers.
And I remember at one point it talked about server space, that shouldn't need any more server space.
We're going to monitor it. We should be okay. Or what we determined, if we do come to the point where we're starting to max out our server, we can look at an external drive to store this information on, so that we're still keeping it, and then we'll kind of watch it as we go. If we start to build up very quickly, we may have to look into that. Well, we're not anticipating a huge change, but when our server does come up for an upgrade, we'll probably have to make it larger just to be able to meet up with our demand.
Brad, do you keep each shift for a certain amount of time, so there's no incident for the 8 or 10-hour shift? Is that just erased then, or do you still continue to keep that for 30 days?
Everything is, it's vented. So we event either 1 through 4, depending on the officer. For example, currently if it's a traffic stop and it's a warning is issued to the driver, we may keep that footage for 30 days. If it's something where we make an arrest, it's kept for much longer. It could be up to 6 months. In some instances, or all instances of OWI, we make a hard copy of those, put them on a disk, and they go in the case file. So they exist as long as the case file does.
But so the rest of the time, if the officer's idle, that stuff can all get erased.
And the way that these cameras work is that the camera will be constantly on, but it won't be recording until the officer manually either hits it on the camera itself, or something events the camera to turn on in the car. When the lights are activated, the cameras would turn on at that point, type of example for that. But so the information is not stored, like you're saying, it's not recording all day long, so we don't have ungodly amounts of data that we have to hold on to.
So the body camera, and will they just be able to hit one button and both cameras will start?
They will.
Okay.
And they're connected, so if the in-car camera turns on, the body camera turns on, and if the body camera was to be turned on, the in-car camera also is activated.
So there's single switches for both, but both can be activated by one.
Yeah, there's 3 different ways. The camera itself has a button that the officer would push. It would activate both cameras. If we activate our lights in our car, it activates both cameras. or if the camera in the car is activated manually, then both cameras will be activated.
Brad, did these have, oh, sorry.
I'm good.
Okay. Do these have infrared capabilities for night use? Or?
It's not an infrared, but it does have a night vision.
Okay.
So it's like our in-car cameras now, and surprisingly, they do very well in town. In pitch dark, it's a little bit more difficult to see, but we use all of our application in town, and so the street lights and stuff aid, and the footage is very clear.
Okay, good. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions for Chief? Sure.
When would you install them if they're approved?
We're looking probably, I would say September, we'll be up and running.
Okay.
You have to have anything on the officer that says that you are being recorded?
There's no requirement now. The state of Iowa is a one-party acknowledgement, so if I know I'm recording, the other people don't necessarily have to. We've talked about making sure when we train that we may just tell people you're being recorded, so if they're aware of it, but there's no requirement this time.
Okay. Very good.
We ready for a motion?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'd move that we waive the purchasing policy and approve the purchase of body-worn cameras from Digital Ally, along with installation of equipment in the amount of $13,260.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Jensen?
Yes.
Fleshner?
Yes.
Cost?
Yes.
Haley?
Yes.
Seaman?
Yes.
Tate? Yes. Motion is approved.
Perfect, thank you. Our final report is the Union Pacific Foundation Grant Award, and Gerald.
We have received an award from Union Pacific, as you authorized the application some months ago, in the amount of $10,000. And there's a picture of the check on the backside, and Laura will deposit that in the appropriate fund under Carroll Merchants Park Improvements upon your approval, and I would recommend your approval to receive the award of $10,000 from Union Pacific Foundation. Jack, you have anything you want to add to that? Jack's gone?
I took off.
He's gone.
Guess he doesn't have anything to add. Barry?
All right, we need a motion to approve the reward of the...
Move that we approve the award of $10,000 from Union Pacific Foundation for improvements at Carroll Merchants Park.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Seaman?
Yes.
Cost?
Yes.
Jensen?
Yes.
Tate? Haley?
Yes.
Fleshner?
Yes.
Motion is approved.
Very good. Barry, did you just have a update or something you wanted to add to this? I know you guys have worked with these guys on this. We appreciate all the work you're doing.
Well, we had that setback with the rejected bid a couple months ago, and I haven't had a chance to come back. Real quick, our fundraising continues. We have almost $300,000 in the bank. That doesn't include the $20,000 from each of the schools or this $10,000, so it's probably about $350,000 that has been raised by the Carroll Athletic Association. It's been strongly urged that we go to the state and apply for a CAT grant. I think that's right, Harold, is it the CAT?
CAT.
Yeah. Because of the amount of public support through the city and the private support, we feel that grant application could be very effective, and we'd look to about, I guess we'd hope to apply for $100,000 in light of these expensive bids that are coming in on this grant. We, as an association working with Jack and Gerald and Adam, we are looking at ways to cut down the cost of the next bid that we'd hope to get out in late this year or first part of next year. One of the ideas is that the association would organize through the Home Builders Association the construction of the storage building. And in fact, there is a group looking tonight with the Home Builders Association to put that building together down Third Baseline. We'll know more about that in the next week. The other project, we have a business who may do the historic ticket booth for us and construct that off-site. When we're ready for it, we'd bring it on site. If you remember the pictures, there's that kind of funny looking building in the front of the stadium that was a ticket booth, and we'd recreate that. So there's a couple ideas there. But the major idea I wanted to bring to you tonight for you to at least be thinking about is the use of prison labor. I've been in contact with Warden Smith, Connell Smith at Rockwell City. They have a program in which cities I think cities are the primary users of it. I know Breda has used it, in which we would have prison labor come down and do all of the real tough, enclosed type of work that could be done with untrained labor. It could be everything from breaking up concrete and hauling it out to dumpsters. Another part of the project that we thought they could be used for would be the removal of the steel supports for the seats. There's 3 or 4 bolts on each one. Those would be removed. Again, a lot of labor, a lot of hand labor that the contractors all said really made this project hard. The enclosed concrete work on the walls and all that sort of stuff. So we would like to put together a plan, a work plan, with the help of local contractors' ideas of what they think would be possible for untrained labor, then work with the prison and put together what requirements they have, and then bring it back to you to approve. I think it's something that you, as a council, ought to look at and approve, just because we haven't done it for so long. We had tremendous work done on the depot, but that was a nonprofit, and it didn't involve the city. But boy, we had that basement of that depot. We were hauling dirt and concrete and brick out in buckets, and we got great work. It saved us thousands and thousands of dollars. So I would hope at the next board meeting or council meeting, we could come to you and ask you to consider approving the use of prisoners from Rockwell City.
They do their own security for that. We don't.
Our
officers don't have to provide anything.
Right, and we have to train local volunteers to supervise. I've got 4 people right now that are willing to do it. 3 of them have contractor experience. They have to be trained. I'd heard something that they bring down one of their own people too. Again, I'm gonna have to get those details for you. But they would be non-violent. I know we have several businesses in town that have used them for 10 years.
I know years ago, when we were out at the armory, they always wanted to bring down prison labor to help with just maintaining the armory.
Oh, really?
We always had, if we were to do it, which we didn't, we would have to provide the security for it. So unless things have changed, that'd be just a consideration. But
yeah, we're going to have to find out all the details. So I thank you in advance for taking a look at it in a couple of weeks, and I think that's all I got. Any questions?
Yeah, do you know do we pay them something, a discounted,
There's
or?
a very low, it's like cents per dollar or per hour. The supervisor, that's the question that came up today. The supervisor, we may have to pay $30 an hour to. But the whole thing, we could have 4 to 5 people at the cost of about $35 an hour. So it'll be interesting. We'll report back and have the detail. We'll work with the city attorney to make sure we're okay legally. And he's very difficult to work with most of the time, but I'm going to do the best I can. My younger brother.
Yeah. Thank you, Barry. Thank you. Appreciate your work on this.
Way to go, Dave.
All right, I trust everyone's read the monthly activity reports. Mayor, just like to say congratulations to the Carroll Community Theater on their production of The Wizard of Oz. It was an amazing performance by the actors. All Strings did a wonderful job with the music. Those folks that worked on the sets and behind the scenes gave us a perfect image of one of my all-time favorite movies. As I understand it, the shows were all sold out. So, and I know last evening some chairs had to be brought in. So it's a real tribute to having the auditorium that we at least have. Real motivation for us to hopefully keep seeing shows like that put on there, and for us as council members to keep supporting the arts within the community. Carroll Fest is just 2 weeks away. It is August 8th at Graham Park with activities from 8 a.m. to midnight. You can check out all the information on that at carrollfestival.com. And if you're so inclined, I know they're still looking for some volunteers for the many offerings that they have throughout the day. I had many good comments on Ridiculous Days and the offerings our downtown retailers had this last week. I heard from people that they really enjoy the shopping experience Carroll has to offer, and how they love the visual appeal of the downtown. So I just love to hear that, and I wanted to share that as people like coming to Carroll and shopping locally, and they really do seem to appreciate the investments that the city and the downtown retailers have made in making Carroll one of our destination shopping areas. I don't have anything else this evening. Are there any comments from city council members?
One I wanted to, Laura, I noticed in our manager's report, we have, how many people? Was it 107 people are getting our water bills by email?
That was probably last month's statistic. We
Okay.
just billed, or worked on billing on Friday and mailed today, where we had 112 people that are getting utility bills.
So it's
emailed
increasing
now.
every month.
Yeah, slowly we're getting there.
Slowly, it'd be nice if it went fastly, because what do we save? Probably
Right now, that rate is at 39 cents.
39 cents, so 40 cents a month. It adds up. And how many, let's say everybody that has a computer went to this, how many bills are we sending out?
Right
Since
now.
I assume everybody's got one.
Right now, we're mailing roughly 4,300, maybe
4,300.
maybe just under 4,200.
So if we got this to 1,000, just 1 out of 4 people, that'd be a significant savings for us. Then we could buy, take care of these lockers with that money.
Oh.
Seriously, I'd like to encourage people to get their bills by email, just to save, which I have, and it would save the city quite a bit of money.
Yeah. All right. Very good, then I'd look for a motion.
Motion to adjourn?
Second?
There's a motion and a second. Haley?
Yes.
Tate? Seaman?
Yes.
Jensen?
Yes.
Fleshner?
Yes.
Cox?
Yes.
We are adjourned.